All right, welcome back. Hope you're enjoying the Passion Week of Jesus Christ. But as promised, part two of Man of Sorrows, Isaiah chapter 53, verses 2 and 3, which also includes Isaiah chapter 52, verses 13 through 15. There's so much depth into Isaiah chapter 53. For time's sake, got to condense a lot because it would take so much time to really, explain it. But Isaiah 53 verses 2 and 3, he sees 700 years into the first advent or the first coming of the Lord Jesus Christ to earth. Isaiah sees what the Jewish people would say about Jesus and how they would feel about him. He sees their rejection of the Messiah. Isaiah chapter 53, verse 2 in the KJV or the King James Version reads, "For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, as a root out of a dry ground. He had no form nor comeliness. And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him." Most of the newer English translations, Isaiah 53 and 2 reads, "He sprouted up like a twig before God, like a root out of parched soil. He had no stately form or majesty that might catch our attention, no special appearance that we should want to follow him or be attracted to him." There's some words that stand out in the passage. In Isaiah 53, verse 2, the KJV says he had no form or comeliness, and then beauty. Form comes from the word that would mean form, beauty, appearance. The beauty or appearance, or the visual appearance that's pleasing to the eyes, especially in the contours and the outward appearance. Majesty would mean glory and the splendor, ornament, and honor. The beholder or the person who would see this person would be in awe and reverence because of their size and their strength, their power, and their authority. The word majesty in the Hebrew can also refer to the beauty of a tree, the size, and the beauty of a tree. In some research I was doing and some reading, it was said that, I don't y'all get mad, don't beat me up, okay? But it said that Jesus wasn't a handsome man. There was nothing remarkable about it. I know you've seen photos and portraits, images of this guy who's supposedly Jesus, and his hair is permed, very well permed. His beard is permed and well groomed. And even in some of the movies we've watched, we've seen this guy who uh, played the character of Jesus, who was well groomed, very well groomed. And then there were some other movies who portrayed Jesus as this guy that his hair was wild, the hair on his head was wild, and his facial hair and his beard was wild, and you couldn't really see who he was. That's more accurate. Jesus and John the Baptist were not much different in appearance. That's more accurate. He wasn't handsome based on their conception of him, or their conception of what their Messiah, their conquering king, or their deliverer would look like, because they awaited their Messiah king, their conquering king, their deliverer. And Jesus didn't look like that. And because he wasn't handsome, striking, there was no splendor, majesty, honor about him, because he didn't have the size or strength, shape of a deliverer, because he wasn't a royal looking person, they disliked him. They disdained him. Because he wasn't pleasing to their eyes. They disdained him, held him in contempt. They disliked him. Because he didn't have the appearance to fit the role, they disdained him. They held him in contempt. I'll be back in another audio. This is probably going to be like 3 or 4 parts. But there's two sides of social platforms that's always arguing with each other. They're always debating and arguing with each other. There's toxic masculinity, toxic femininity. And there's a distaste. There is a disgrace. There's something that both groups despise, especially on the toxic femininity side, or the toxic feminists. Both groups, but especially toxic feminists. They disdain They have contempt for the average person. They don't like the average person. Because the toxic feminists, they want a man that's handsome, tall, strong, has size and the strength, the shape, and the money. So they want a man that's handsome, tall, nice shape, and has a good income. At least $500,000 a year. They don't want the average looking guy that works what they consider a regular job, average looking, don't make a whole lot of money. They despise the average person. They disdain them. So if Jesus was on earth today, he would be considered the average person. And that's how the Jews of Jesus' day conceived him, as the average person. But isn't it something that the average person can be the greatest blessing? And isn't it something that God chose the average person to be a blessing to the whole world?